Hello, everybody. Wow, a packed house. Thank you so much for coming. I think that's testament to the popularity of the game we're about to see. Welcome to the EGX stage. Welcome also to the people who are watching us online. My name is Iron Man. My name is Bertie. I'm a writer for Eurogamer.net, and it's my great pleasure to introduce the team at Crystal Dynamics here to show us Avengers.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Megan Marie, and I am the Senior Community Manager at Crystal Dynamics, and I am here with Scot Amos, our studio head at Crystal, and Rose Hunt, lead producer, and we are so excited to be here. It's wonderful taking this game around the world and getting it in the hands of fellow fans. So today, we have a lot to share with you in 35 minutes, so we're going to get started right away. And Scott's going to walk us through what it means to play an original Avengers story and to talk to you a little bit more about our newly announced characters. So Scott, let's go.
All right, let's do it.
Hello, San Francisco!
Thor, Tony, check it out. Reactor.
All right. Hello, London. So what you just saw there is a quick recap of our A-Day tutorial level. Hopefully a lot of you gotten to play it over in the Virgin Media booth. If you haven't, definitely go check it out. The queues are huge, but it's awesome. It's worth the wait, trust me. What we're going to talk about here is what makes a great Avengers game. And we're going to start with saying, at the core, it's delivering the fantasy of becoming each of these Avengers. We want to talk about the campaign, how it features this narrative and these world-class stakes that you have to go up against. And what a rich, interactive world this needs to be, with goals that extend way beyond just the campaign. About fun things for you to go and do for each of your heroes, of leveling them up, customizing them, rebuilding them, and reassembling them. And we also want to talk about the game's customization from a visual standpoint. Some of you have probably seen some of the awesome costumes we have planned, but there's a lot more to talk about there. And finally, how all of this is about bringing together that team, those heroes, this family of Avengers that really together they can only solve and face the greatest threats that we have. So for a recap, for those who haven't seen it, or maybe those who have played our A-Day level, A-Day is the opening of our game. It's that tutorial level where you get those core 5 Avengers and you get to play with their unique powers and skills, just a taste of how they play, of who they are and what they are. This is a day of celebration. This is a day where we're supposed to be showing off the West Coast Avengers headquarters, showing off their new technology, the Terrigen Crystal Reactor. But it's such a cool location. They have so much fun showing it off, and things don't go as planned. Taskmaster attacks, leading to a series of events where the Terrigen Crystal Reactor gets damaged and explodes, destroying most of San Francisco, releasing Terrigen mist, affecting the people all around that area, where the Avengers are blamed for this tragedy and actually disband. 5 years later, after the events of A-Day, a new organization has risen to power. Advanced Idea Mechanics, also known as AIM. AIM believes in science over superheroes. They believe that superheroes are dangerous. Look what happened in San Francisco. If superheroes are left unchecked, more of these incidents could happen, more problems like this. So AIM decides to invest firmly into their technology and start saying, we need to find a way to cure all those people who are affected by the Terrigen mist at A-Day. We need to find a way to stop superheroes from exerting their own vigilante-like perspectives. So they make a very perfect, diametrically opposed perspective of this world, where superheroes think they're doing the right things, but AIM also thinks they're right. The world is way too dangerous to not have controls in place, and they want to rethink the future of mankind through reason and science. But that's just one half of playing an original Avengers story. That's just the plot, setting up the bad guys versus the good guys. We also have to reimagine these characters through that crystal lens, much like we did with Tomb Raider back in 2013, taking the iconic Lara Croft and saying, here's a different version, a different perspective. Similarly with the Avengers, telling that epic story with a human spirit means getting into these heroes, our version of these heroes reimagined. Starting with Bruce Banner. He was there at A-Day. He helped invent the Terrigen Crystal Reactor. He blames himself for those events that led to that destruction of San Francisco. So much so, he enters a self-imposed purgatory where he loses the will to turn back into Banner. And you can see what 5 years of that could do to him as the Hulk. Then we get to Tony Stark. He had everything, all the toys, all the tools, all the tech. But now AIM has taken all of Stark Industries from him. Tony has receded from the world and is now living like a hermit, off-grid. Guy who usually had all the answers suddenly has none. And those of you who got to play the A-Day level know that Widow did a great job of saving civilians' lives, but she wasn't there the moment Cap needed her the most. So she's racked with guilt and decides to again pull herself away from the Avengers and retreat into this life of a lone wolf spy. And Thor, God of Thunder, he let everybody down in his opinion. He feels unworthy to wield Mjolnir and leaves it behind, actually entering a life of servitude for the people of Midgard. And spoiler alert for those who haven't played it, sorry. But at the very beginning, Cap does what he does best. He sacrifices himself for the greater good, literally going down with the ship. And his presence, his loss is felt throughout the entire story. And he is gone, but certainly never forgotten. And this is just looking at those heroes, how they're broken, how they're disbanded, how they're now in a different state than they've ever been. That's where we come in. It's our job as the players to reassemble these heroes. But this isn't a game just about superheroes saving the world. We've seen those stories. This is about us saving the superheroes themselves. Finding these broken individuals scattered wherever they are, rebuilding them individually, and then reassembling them into the team they need to be to stop the threats that are ahead of us. Because if AIM is left unchecked on their pursuit of this technocratic utopia, they could unleash the greatest threat that the Earth has ever seen. And that's where we have to stop them. But who's going to pull all these guys together? This is why we're excited that we recently announced, and you guys get to see her again here, our 6th playable character for this game, Kamala Khan. Ready?
Peggy 16.
What's your name?
Kamala Khan. I was just some weird kid from Jersey who didn't fit in. I kind of stole something off of AIM's server.
Huh? What? Why? Why?
AIM calls people like me inhuman. He claims we're sick, violent. He says our disease will kill us in the end. Well, I don't believe it. What if the Avengers were set up? AIM, this so-called cure, it's just not lining up. There's something wrong and I can feel it. Don't you?
The kid isn't human. We did this, and she needs your help. I can't.
You can't what? You're ditching me?
Hey, don't take it personally, kid. No, this is what he does.
This was a mistake.
So you're both just gonna walk away? The Avengers were set up. Cap was murdered.
You think I don't know that? I've replayed that day in my head 1,000 times. Guess what? No one cares. The world needed someone to blame, and he gave them their scapegoat. So, unless you have some kind of astounding proof, I suggest you both get off my land. What is that?
Proof.
Yeah, thank you. So we're so excited to finally be able to talk about Kamala Khan. It's one of those things that we've actually been worried from the beginning because the first ever teaser that we put out there back in January 2017 is narrated by Kamala Khan. We thought you guys would have figured it out. Some of you guessed it. There's some great Reddit threads, conspiracy of who that character was. But now we get to talk about it, that this is the perspective character. This is that unifier who's going to bring all these heroes together, and we're so thrilled to talk about her. Kamala's very new to the Marvel Universe, and we're going to have a nice piece here that talks a little bit in depth that she only showed up in 2013 in Captain Marvel number 14, and then got her own series starting in 2014. And she's just been so magical to be able to bring to the big screen in this unique way. Even this image for us, you start with Kamala as the young Kamala Khan. She's at A-Day because she wrote a piece of fan fiction that won her a spot to be there to celebrate with the Avengers. But at that moment, when the accident happens and she's covered with the Terrigen mist, that creates her as an Inhuman, triggering her powers. And going from that, suddenly you have Kamala created by the Avengers in that accident. But Kamala then has to go on the quest to recreate the Avengers, going to figure out who she needs to be in this world, how she fits into this world, where she belongs. Because those 5 years, AIM has now turned the world against superheroes, against superpowered individuals. She no longer fits in. She doesn't know where she belongs. She's also one of the outlaws in that case. Every one of us as players can relate to being in that, how do I fit in, where can I belong, who am I going to become? More than that, she's a super fan of the Avengers. She loves these characters, so that synchronicity is there from the beginning with all of us. Why you guys are all here is because we want to know more about these characters and be part of them and become one of them. And that's what this image means for us. You have Kamala Khan at the top, and then that reflection of who she ultimately wants to become as Miss Marvel. This is actually a screen capture from in-game of how she fights, what her powers are like. She has polymorphism. It means she can expand and stretch and grow in all kinds of fun, cool ways. And a power that she actually calls embiggening, where she can actually grow to multiple times her size, which is amazing to play with. And I can't wait for you guys to get your hands on. We should have a quick image that we want, or a quick video we want to run of kind of talking about these characters a little bit more in depth. Yeah? All right, let's run that.
I think it's absolutely insane that Kamala is actually going to be in one of the biggest Marvel games that we've done.
She's a very recent addition to the Marvel Universe. She was only invented, gosh, about 6 years ago. But even though she's very new, she's very classic.
She is a young hero from Jersey City, and she has something called polymorph powers, which means she can contort her body in different ways, and she can get really big and really small.
We spent countless hours on the story, on the choice of character, how we would portray her.
I loved working with Sean Askai and the rest of the creative team at Crystal Dynamics to sit down with Sean and talk about the characters and how he saw them.
To stay true to her, we spent a lot of time in the comics and then also tapping into our version of her.
The biggest difference between our game and the Kamala people have met in the comics, she gains her powers on A-Day.
She is essentially just a little fangirl, right? She's a nerd. She loves the Marvel Universe. She lives in the Marvel Universe.
Her fan fiction comic is selected for the Avengers celebrations.
The Avengers are unveiling this experimental technology, and something pretty crazy happens with it.
She's exposed to Terrigen gas and is now labeled what is called an Inhuman.
She's got superpowers that she doesn't know what to do with in a world that hates superheroes.
She suspects that the Avengers were set up in A-Day. The role that Kamala plays is a unifier. She's really someone who is going to bring the Avengers back together.
Casting Kamala was a difficult process. We spent a lot of time looking for Sandra, and she did an impeccable job bringing her to life.
Oh my gosh. When I found out I was going to play the role of Kamala Khan, I was like, are you kidding? I'm an Avenger?
She's a lot like the character in many ways, so there's instant relatability.
She is first-generation American like me. She's a young woman of color who has trouble fitting in, like I do. And I feel like she has all these personal struggles that everyone can relate to.
In the cast of seasoned actors, she is the new one. In some sense, that forced structure between the seasoned actors and the new actor is sort of like the actual Kamala Khan relationship to her world and to her environment.
We wanted to really focus on her gameplay and her style of moves reflecting her development as a character. So you might notice that there's at least 1 or 2 attacks that she sort of like made her own from the other Avengers and sort of integrated into her moveset. One of the most iconic things about Kamala is her ability to embiggen. And we actually realize this in a bunch of different ways. She's able to like lengthen her attacks, she's able to avoid attacks while she's sort of mini embiggened. And then we also have the ultra embiggened state where she gets giant size, and at this point she's able to send enemies flying. We actually built an entirely new reaction set for the enemies to like really deliver on the feel of being, 3 times, 4 times the size of the enemies you're sort of kicking around.
Putting together movement style for Kamala is just all in the imagination, I feel. Because at the end of the day, it's you who's standing there in this mocap space, imagining that your arm, Sandra's arm, is stretching out to the end of the room to grab somebody. It's just fun. I hope the fans notice those little details, and I hope the fans see how hard every single person worked, and I hope the fans love the story as much as I do.
When it comes to a new perspective on the Avengers, seeing them from a fangirl of someone who has always wanted to meet them, who's wanted to be one, we feel like players can really connect with that.
Marvel has considered her an important enough character to be on the League of the Avengers.
She's got superhero powers unlike any other Avenger. She's not laying down for no one, and I think those qualities, they cross boundaries, people can relate to it. She's rebellious, they want to be her, I want to be her.
The fact that she's the entry point character in this game makes so much sense because she really is the everyman. Like, people from all backgrounds and experiences can relate to her and have related to her since her inception. So it makes perfect sense for her to be bringing you into the Marvel Avengers game experience.
Thank you very much. Certainly, we love Kamala. We're such big fans. We're so thrilled to bring her to the world. But one of the things, if you know anything about Kamala, something that's very important, not only is she a fangirl, she still writes fan fiction in our universe. And Captain Marvel is still her favorite hero. You can see she has a Captain Marvel badge there on her bag. So Kamala is just this ideal protagonist for us. She's so synchronized with us as people who love the Avengers, who want to be one of them, who want to find our place in the world, who want to go on that quest to become who we're meant to be. So we're just so thrilled to talk about her. So wrapping that up, we want to make sure everybody understands how important it is that this is an original Avengers story. We have 80 years of history that we get to go through from Marvel's perspective. And everything we've done is be able to take the best of these bits and then put them together through our lens to make it feel like you have a new set of enemies, a new set of origins, these heroes with that fresh perspective from Kamala, where you're playing a truly original story. It is not the game of the movie or of the show or of the comic. It is from all of that history wrapped together in an original lens. We know we can play solo and all the campaign with that, but also co-op, which we'll talk more about beginning of next year, of how you play up to 4-player co-op, assembling your own team online together. And then deeper customization stuff will come out in these next few months of how you customize not just the look, but the skills, the gear, the attributes, the weapons, all this stuff that you can do with each and every hero. And how all of that wraps together into what we call embracing your powers, becoming that superhero that you're meant to be. Just a reminder, something fun for PS4 players, that we have a great partnership with Sony, that they get to play the beta first when we announce that. And again, just as a reminder for everybody here, May 15th, 2020, PS4, Xbox One, Stadia, and PC. And there you go.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Scott. That was great. I just also want to say, we work on the game, and you just see when the lights were off, we were just up here grinning like crazy during that Kamala segment. Because
I just love it.
It is. Her enthusiasm is so infectious. And Sandra, she is basically Kamala. So it's just so great to get to talk about her. She is. All right, so we're going to jump right into questions because we have 15 minutes, and we're going to try to cruise through a bunch of questions that we gathered from Twitter. So we tried to condense them into topics that people are very interested in. And one of the first ones is that this is a very ambitious game, and we have plans way beyond the May 15 launch. So can you lay the foundation of the game structure for viewers? Essentially, what is Marvel's Avengers?
Oh my God, what is Marvel? So, simplest version, right? We're an action-adventure game that spans the entire globe. So while you have this core campaign, that you go on, and you actually will start with Kamala at the beginning on her quest to find out who she is, but also reassemble her Avengers. This action-adventure starts with that campaign where you go and start piece by piece finding these Avengers who've been lost or broken or disbanded and reassembling them. And as you get those Avengers, you're going down these hero missions, and hero missions lead to the next hero mission. So you'll always know when you're on the campaign, but they also unlock a second type of mission called War Zones. War Zone missions are where you get to play co-op. You can play them all single player, or you can play them 2, 3, or 4 player co-op. Any War Zone can be played at any time with any hero in your roster. Hero missions are specifically designed to tell a narrative piece. They're a great showcase for a specific hero in single player, or maybe multiple heroes. Like the 8-day level you've played, that's a hero mission. You have 5 heroes strung together in a very specific story. You'll have more of those across the campaign. But war zones are where the world really opens up. Expansive spaces with new enemies, all kinds of secrets to find, cool gear to go off and harvest. So for us, you have this war table at the center of all of that. And the war table is a very direct interface to say, do I want to go on a hero mission or a war zone mission? How do I want to play tonight? Single player, co-op, blending back together. So everybody will have one very clear interface to get to all the different types of game modes and gameplay that we have.
So it's also a huge privilege and responsibility. I know everybody at the studio takes this so seriously to work on such a celebrated franchise. So why would you say that Crystal is such a good fit for making this game?
The simplest version is we love telling epic stories with a human spirit. And looking at what we've done with Tomb Raider and Lara Croft, and again, looking at what Marvel loves to do is tell epic stories with a human spirit. Being able to have iconic characters like these guys, but then put through our lens. And be able to start there saying a great high-fidelity, personal, intimate narrative, getting to know these heroes and go on that journey, but then expanding that and some of the awesome, cool gameplay. And there's actually pieces of it that we weren't experts at, so we went and found experts. We went and found people like Shauna Skye for creative director, and Vince Napoli to come be our lead combat designer, and Dave Fifield to do our multiplayer stuff. These are the guys who worked on major franchises and mega hits that we said, let's add to our own DNA as Crystal to get the best of the best in the industry, to go and make sure we deliver this game that we want and that we know we can.
I think fans were also interested in understanding to what degree Marvel is involved in development. So how do they add to the development of the game?
Yeah, I mean, we see them every week, actually. Marvel's tried and true. These are collaborators. So you got to see Bill Roseman up there. Bill Roseman is VP of Creative for Marvel Games. He's 26 years as an editor at Marvel. He knows everything about Marvel stuff. He literally is a walking encyclopedia. So when we had AIM as our bad guys, and we said, Bill, we have these kind of black sites, these hidden locations off the grid, worldwide in all these different regions. What names should we use for them? He would actually be able to run through the list of 8 cool names. He'd actually send us images of comic books. He has post-it notes on comic pages. He sends us saying, well, you could use this one, and this was episode X from this character. So it's fascinating that he has just such a deep DNA cut with Marvel that we can tap into that and say, this is the stuff we want, so that fans who know the series, who know all the comics, who know the movies, the shows, the games, can say, I know where this is from, but it's an aspirational piece and an inspirational one, because we still put our own twist on it. But Marvel, from the beginning, all the way through this, are tried and true collaborators.
So, Rose, Marvel's Avengers draws from 80 years of Marvel history, which is an incredible number. In what ways is the game celebrating this? And I in particular love looking on the subreddit and seeing when fans discover Easter eggs and so on, but it goes a lot further than that. Can you expand on it?
Yeah, I mean, the Easter eggs are everywhere, like you said. If you look at the game, if you look at the demo that we did, you'll see Easter eggs on the side of drink cups. You'll see it on the side of semi-trucks. Even things like the little license plates on cars, so you can look everywhere for those Easter eggs. But beyond that, we are drawing on those, years and years of history for the outfits that the characters wear, as well as, names of missions and everything. We put lots of little love letters to the fans in the game.
And I guess even small pieces that are still Captain America's shield, right? Cap has a star on his shield. You've seen this before all over the place. But notice our star is actually bigger than the normal star because they're expanding to the West Coast. So the star actually expanded. So even that level of detail, everything has a story behind it that ties into the history of Marvel, but also, again, that original lens we can put on it.
And speaking of original, you know, we are celebrating the past, but Crystal is bringing a lot of new content to the table, not just the stories. So what is it like creating original designs and original content that is now officially part of Marvel canon? Like, we're part of that 80 years now.
It's humbling.
It is. I mean, certainly it's both intimidating and exhilarating because we have the chance to add to this amazing litany of stuff that they've already done. But think of the last 10 years. There's people who didn't know what the hell a Hulk was 10 years ago that are now wearing t-shirts and fanatics about it. So that's awesome. We think of these next 10 years. Think of all the stuff that we get to add and be part of that. It's amazing for us. It's thrilling because we're all fans. Before we started working on Marvel's Avengers, you walk around Crystal and people have toys on their desks. They have comic books everywhere. We're all nerds. We love this stuff. We've been doing this for decades as well. But getting to be part of it and now add our own DNA to it, it's thrilling.
So here's another question that people were talking about online. What type of enemies are we going to be facing off against? Because basically people want to know what AIM has up their sleeves. Thor is a literal god, you know, so like how are we ensuring that AIM is always going to be challenging the player with unique types of enemies?
Well, there's a couple fun things for us. Certainly looking back at AIM's history, they're scientists, so they want to look at the weak spots that they can exploit from these superheroes. And they're saying they want to cure the Inhumans. We'll see how that plays out. But some of their technology, like spin technology, straight from the comics, superpower inhibiting nanites, something that AIM has actually invented that they can use to debilitate superheroes, and the idea that these humans can gear up with some really cool tech, including some we can't wait to show you some of the bad guys a few months from now. We'll kind of roll them out. But these just amazing technologies that we get to give them, plus the synthoid AIs that they can create to really confront all these superheroes.
Yeah, and remember, as you level up your superhero, you're becoming more powerful, but the enemies can gear up and level up too. So that's how we always provide a challenge.
All right, so here's a meaty question. And as we said, this game is very ambitious. So Marvel's Avengers is basically aiming to deliver on the fantasy of playing and being each of these superheroes. And every one of them plays differently. And when we say plays differently, we mean combat, we mean traversal, and so on. So how did you approach fleshing out 6 characters to such a degree to offer and empower everyone to feel like that superhero?
Want me to go first? So I mentioned his name. You saw him actually in the video, Vince Napoli. One of the things we did from the beginning, and something that Bill Roseman taught us about Marvel, is the most important thing isn't the what, it's the why. Why does Kamala fight the way she does? Why does Hulk fight the way he does? So understanding that started as a narrative, almost philosophical approach to saying, let's understand these heroes, how they need to move, how they need to look, how you want to feel that power of an unstoppable freight train of Hulk smashing through stuff. So Vince and his team then took that and started prototyping all the different mechanics across those 6. And then every time we went back and said, great, let's take one character and drill down and make that character awesome. And when Vince and his team did that, suddenly we were all like, oh my God, this is the best character ever. Do the next one. And now the next character became the best character ever because they're just so good at tapping into that heart and soul of who these characters are and then bringing it to life. And you get to see a piece of it here with Kamala. But when you guys get to actually play it, I just can't wait for you to see beyond how she looks, how she feels when you're playing that.
Yeah, and the spirit of Marvel really comes through in the finishers that they can do. You know, like you're calling down thunder, you know, with Thor, or you're just the Hulk thunderclap where you're just blasting all of the enemies away from you. You know, that's more of the Marvel DNA coming out.
So looking at the world itself, what we've basically showed so far has been the A-Day demo, and that is very early in the game. It's essentially to give you a little bit of a taste of what these superheroes play like. Can you guys expand on how the world is going to open up and what it means for missions and so on in the future once you move past the A-Day?
Sure, I touched on it a little bit, but the idea that these hero missions, they're designed to take you on that campaign. Full campaign, beginning, middle, and end. You'll have a satisfactory story of going through it, satisfying story of going through that arc of Kamala's perspective of who she's becoming. But as you go down that campaign, you're not playing just Kamala, right? You get your next hero, say the Hulk, and now you have to take that next step with him through the campaign. And then the next hero. And as you get them, as you have these heroes, that opens up these Warzone missions, where you can go and spend as much time with the new hero you just unlocked, added to your roster as you want. And all that progression seamlessly goes back and forth. So you go off on war zones as Hulk, you level up, you gear up, you get some more skills, you can go back to the campaign and bring all of that with you and continue down that campaign.
Yeah, and remember, these are Avengers, so there are global stakes to what they do. So we have regions all over the world and maybe, you know, beyond the Earth too for the Avengers.
And here's a topic that I'm super excited for you guys to expand upon. But we talk a lot about how you're going to play the heroes your way. So can you guys discuss that a little further, what it means to play an iconic, established hero your way? And I love that you both kind of argue over how to play specific characters, because it is kind of, you know, you get to make those choices.
Well, yeah, very much there's skills that you can upgrade, you know, for all of the characters. And you may feel that, oh, you may love to fly with Thor, but I in particular love to, you know, play Thor as a melee character, take that God Hammer Mjolnir, you know, and just smash the crap out of everyone. Yeah, but Scott plays them very differently.
Yeah, so one of those fun things about the gear and skill system is that you can invest in micro-tune and literally micro-build your hero, min-max them the way you want. You want to play Thor properly, as a god who can fly over the area, controlling a large range of enemies with your lightning powers and having to have kind of good crowd control stuff, dump your skill points into your heroics, recharging them faster, making it more powerful, more lightning strikes. Or if you want to play like Rose, who can't fly for nonsense, she invests into making it more like a tank, more health, more cool moves with Mjolnir, more finishing moves that you can do as Thor. Both feel like Thor, but they're bent slightly differently depending on how you prefer to play that particular hero. And that's one of the things we want about playing your way, is that you can customize skill and gear and then outfits as well, which we've only shown just a little bit of how many outfits we have planned for all these different heroes. Some which you can earn in-game just by playing the game, and some you can only get through Marketplace, but you can invest the way you want to go out and customize your heroes.
What's your favorite outfit, Scott?
I love Joe Fixit. Come on,
Have you
Hulk
guys
in
seen
a
Joe
purple
Fixit?
pinstripe with fedora?
Hulk
How's that not
in the
thing?
pinstripe suit. It's pretty great. That's the outfits are definitely a way that we're celebrating that 80 years of history, and it's been really fun to see the ones being developed secretly. I can't wait till we get to share them. Okay, so everything that we've been discussing today is really just the beginning of Marvel's Avengers. So, like we said, we plan on expanding after the May 15 launch. Can you guys touch on what that means and what we can expect after the launch day?
We have, so certainly core 6 heroes, a full campaign, all these war zones. While you have that kind of act 1, 2, and 3 of getting through the main story, the world is just then at a state that is still in danger, still in jeopardy. As Rose alluded to, there's all these regions and locations globally that open up for stuff to do, but that's just the game you get on day 1. After that, we have new heroes that we're going to release, and new regions. They come with new gear, new outfits, new skills, new hero missions, new Warzone missions at no additional cost. So we're going to keep adding to that roster of heroes and new missions for you to play. And then you can take those new heroes with the old heroes and go back and replay some of that content together as well. And so you have a constant stream of new stuff to always do.
So exciting. I can't wait till we get to talk more about that. Well, thank you both. Can we give a round of applause to Scott and Rose? Thank you guys for coming in today. And also thank you to everyone in the audience, everyone watching online. We really appreciate it. And thank you to Virgin and EGX for having us here. Like I said, we are so excited to get out and talk to other Marvel fans. And speaking of which, we are actually immediately after this panel, we are going to be doing a signing. We have some very cool art that we're going to have available to sign over at the Virgin booth. So if you guys head over to the Virgin Media booth right after this, you'll be able to get this awesome piece of art signed. And we're looking forward to chatting with you there. So thank you all very much.
All right, thanks everybody.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.